Okay, first of all, I want to make a bunch of connections between Bowser and Ganondorf, which I already made in another video, but then also with the Metroid series, with Kraid and Ridley. See, in the early design of Kraid, in like the instruction booklet for the NES game, Kraid doesn't have three eyes. He has two eyes and a horn. It's almost as if they are the same design it's the same design as the later Kraid, but in the early Metroid, the third eye is a horn instead of an eye. In a sense, the symbol of the horn of the unicorn is similar to the sense of the to the meaning of the third eye. So in this early design, Kraid has this horns on his back, and a mane of long hair, and this sort of big belly. And he reminds me a lot of Bowser, but a sort of a flipped, a sort of a Bowser flipped on its opposite, like the other side of Bowser. Because of this, the color code is also flipped around. Kraid's hair is green, and the body is this sort of the face and body is this sort of yellowish orangey tone, whereas Bowser would have this orange hair and green skin. So Kraid and Bowser have similar characteristics as bosses. Kraid himself is also this sort of I don't know what you would call him, this sort of reptile alien. But then again, Bowser is not that clearly defined. I mean, Bowser is a turtle, but at the same time has a lot of reptile dragon qualities. So, in that sense, I'm making a triad here between Kraid, Bowser, and Ganondorf, as I said in the other video. But here, that's the interesting thing, because Kraid's later design in, like, I think, the Super Metroid, Kraid has three eyes, a third eye, like some sort of an enlightened god. And Ganondorf has a third eye as well, both as its Ganondorf form and in the Ganon form. Ganondorf has a yellow third eye open, like a god as well. So here, Bowser and Ganon seem to represent two different sides of Kraid. But then within the Metroid universe, Kraid and Ridley are also in a sort of dual relationship to each other, where Kraid is this sort of fat being, and Ridley is a almost skeleton kind of skinny being. So like they combine perfectly as two sides of one same enemy psyche, in the same way that they're both also reptilian alien creatures. And here, I'm gonna take it somewhere else and compare all of this little Nintendo bundle with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, especially the 90s cartoon version, where we have, see, connecting it to the Metroid universe has Mother Brain as this final boss mastermind, and Ninja Turtles have Krang as this brain mastermind. Now, Krang has, apart from Shredder, two sort of henchmen, two sort of helpers to carry out the dirty deeds, and it's Bebop and Rocksteady. Now, if I remember correctly, Bebop is this sort of wild boar pig with a mohawk, and Rocksteady is a rhinoceros. So, Rocksteady, in being a rhinoceros, reminds me of the early design of Kraid, who also has a rhinoceros-like horn on his nose. So they both have this sort of unicorn, also like a third eye, Rocksteady. And then Bebop, in being a pig, reminds me of Ganon, Ganondorf's Ganon, a sort of wild boar form. And not only that, but Ganondorf wears, in certain character designs, a necklace with a skull on it. And this necklace is made out of little white beads going around his neck. And Bebop wears almost exactly the same necklace of a skull. It's really interesting. And of course here, Bebop and Rocksteady, as Ganon and Kraid, also englobe the other characters, because Rocksteady, in being Kraid, is also Bowser through the Kraid-Bowser connection. And Bebop, in being Ganon, is also Ganondorf, and through the connection of Kraid, could also be Ridley. You know, in a sense, they are everyone. Everyone is everyone, but there are a lot of different traits between them that link them as characters. Also, in their position within the storyline, as I said, Bebop and Rocksteady help Mother Brain. And then there's Shredder with his armor, and reminds me a lot of Ganondorf as well, in this sort of strong silver armor. And then the strange thing is that the only thing lacking in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles world is the turtles. But we have the turtles, and it's Bowser. And here it's almost as if, because the turtles have been trained, I can't remember correctly, I think that the turtles were trained by, you know, the rat teacher, Splinter, I think, who also was somehow connected to Shredder. So Splinter also shared his knowledge with Shredder and with the turtles. They both live underground, they both have the same knowledge, they have a connection with each other they don't really want to accept. They are the shadow of each other. So Bowser, in the TMNT universe, is represented as one of the good guys, in the same way that in the Mario universe, the battle between Mario and Bowser is never a battle of bloodthirsty enemies. I mean, I think the fact that Mario and Bowser play together in all of the Mario sports games, in Mario Party, in Mario Kart, is significant. It's not just, at least for me, it's not just a gaming decision. It's that there is, in Mario and Bowser's battle, there is the nature of a competition, of a game that doesn't necessarily have to end with a violent death, but can end with simply a game-like agreement, almost, a peacemaking. And Bowser has a lot of qualities that Mario has. Mario has a lot of qualities Bowser has, as I've said in other videos about Mario's connection to the Zelda universe as well. So here, we seem to have this narrative that expresses itself through the Metroid game, through Ninja Turtles, through Mario, through Zelda, and it all seems to coalesce. And even, you know, if we were to say that Krang and Mother Brain are this sort of dominant ego, this sort of dominant ego that is repressing all the, let's say, I don't know, fluidity in the world, the water-like qualities of the world. Mother Brain represses that. And Samus is fighting against this dominant ego. So in the same way, I mean, Bowser represents this to Mario, Ganondorf represents this for Link. They represent the shadows of the hero. And in a lot of these cases, like in Mario and Zelda, there's also this topic of gender, and the way, for example, especially in the Mario universe, how Princess Peach is a walking stereotype, this sort of defenseless stereotype, kidnapped by the enemy. And it's almost as if we were to connect this to the Metroid game, where Samus, a woman, is fighting against this mother brain ego within herself and within culture. But it's a fight to liberate a stereotype that has been repressed by Bowser and that isn't allowed to act on its own. And once Peach as a stereotype escapes from Bowser, then gender performativity can once again fluidify through this, also the fluid nature of Kirby and Yoshi and the sort of shape-shifting nature of these games. Now, of course, we have the strange thing here, which is a mirror of culture, that in all these games, the people fighting against this are men. But I think that's why Metroid is an interesting counterexample to this, where what we're dealing with here is not so much men versus women, women versus men, but more, like Terence McKenna said, a sort of a dominance against fluidity. And now you can have dominance in any gender and any sort of identity within the spectrum of identity. There can be dominance, and fluidity can also be in any gender. The reason it's represented like this in the video games is because of the way, obviously, it's represented in culture. So, in a sense, that's why there are things to criticize about Mario, the sides of Mario in which Mario represents this sort of dominant ego, but also within his own problem is hidden the solution to dissolving his own ego. Um, and you could connect Mario and Samus as being the same character in a sense. This sort of orange color of Samus is very close to red, this sort of orange and red, as Mario and Samus also being this sort of a psychological struggle that has a lot to do with gender, but which is working on a psychological domain within all of us that isn't limited by any of the characters. All the characters seem to sort of interconnect with each other. As I've said here, the Mario universe and the Nintendo universe also connects back to the Ninja Turtles universe, which in turn connects back to our universe. And they're all sort of expressions of one same historical and cultural process that is being expressed through every single creative effort in humanity.